Hello YouTubers. 98 Mercedes E430, and we have battery charge warning, and we will be replacing the alternator on this machine. Alright, before we get under the hood, we will disconnect the battery. The battery is under the rear seat. To unhook the seat, you need to press this lever and pull it out. And now we will just go ahead and remove the negative cable out of the battery. Alright, I have done a little bit of work under the hood already. So first thing that you will need to do to get to your alternator, to remove the fan and fan housing and fan sits on a water pump pulley. So here's your fan, and how this fan works, like you see, like this nut spins, but when the body of the fan gets warm, it starts to engage more and more with the nut, so then it's kind of solid. And to remove this fan, you would ideally need a special set of tools. So 36-inch wrench and a holder for the water pulley. So we'll show you how this works. So if you have your holder, you'll just slide it over the bolts on the water pulley. Just like that. So you hold it so it doesn't spin, and at the same time you have your wrench on a nut and turning, and the room is here just about for the size of those two wrenches. The problem I had was that this set was originally for 32 millimeters and I needed 36. So when I grinded a bit this wrench, and obviously I grinded here, so as soon as I applied a little bit of pressure, this wrench snapped, and I needed a lot of pressure to get that nut loose. So I ended up buying regular, this is actually 1.7/16", what is about 37 millimeters, but it fits quite nicely here. A regular wrench and grinded, I don't know, probably 1/4 of an inch on one side. So the benefit was that this wrench is much more heavier than this piece of junk. And another benefit was that I got it grinded to the point where it just fit. So this wrench, it basically was going against it, and it had no room to slide off those bolts. So I would have got the 36 mil, but to get them, the wait time was like 2 or 3 weeks, and I needed to get it done right now. So 1.7/16 or 36 millimeter regular box wrench works just fine, as long as you have the holder too. So next, when you had your fan removed, you need to remove your fan housing, shroud, and there are two clips on top, like those over here, holding here and here. Then it slides. Get some light. So it slides in a channel over there, and on the bottom it also slides into two channels. So basically, as soon as you remove those two clips, it just comes out. And then you need to remove your air filter together with the housing. So basically you get this loose, then you pull out your filter cover, get the filter out, and then it just sits on those rubber legs, so you just bring it out. So next what we need to do, we need to get the belt out. And in order to do that, you need to use the tensioner. And this is original tensioner. It had E10 socket place in the middle of the tensioner, so you would put E10 and basically wrench it counterclockwise to get it loose, but this is stripped, so we will have to just cut the belt and then replace the tensioner at the end, and we'll replace also the idler pulley. So the parts. The alternator is WAI way, the part number 13779, and this is new. This is not reman. I'm not a big fan of the manufacturer stuff, so this one was not that expensive. It was roughly $300 and it's brand new. So the belt, tensioner and idler pulley comes in a kit. So that's Gates 90K-38174A, slightly cheaper than buying all the parts separately. So I'll show you what is inside. Alright, here's the tensioner. It's spring-loaded, be careful. And as you can see, there is no E10 anymore, so instead of they got this nice place for the socket, I think it's 17 mil. So it looks like just 2 bolts to get it replaced, and this is the idler pulley. So this is made in Poland, and this is Romania. Alright, this is probably was the longest introduction in my history. Let's get to work. Alright, next what we will do, we will get under the vehicle. This is passenger side, and we will remove this 13 mil nut that goes to the battery, and 8 mil nut just over there that goes to the controller. So next we will do E13 here and E13 over there. So the bottom E13 comes with a bracket, and that's position of the bracket, how it's on the vehicle, just for reference, just like this. Okay, so both bolts are removed. Now we just need to pull it out. Right, here it is. So basically it sits like this, in a bracket in here and in a bracket on the bottom. So all we need to pry out both sides, and then I just got it from down below the vehicle, same way as we undo those 2 nuts on the back. So as you can see, this is quite loose running, and if you look at new one, so yeah, and this seems to be the original one, Bosch, made in Great Britain. Alright, so I think it did its job. It's 22 years old and it has 240,000 kilometers on it, so we will get the new installed. Alright, so the new alternator is in. Those 2 T13 tight. Another thing that I've noticed, that originally on the bolt there was a little bit of blue Loctite, so I also applied it, and now we should be able to attach the wires. Alright, so here's the thing with, as you can see, this wire, it has a tongue. So basically this tongue, and it's designed so it hits the body of the alternator and it doesn't spin when you tighten in your nut here, though this alternator is not suited for that. So before you get it tight, and if your alternator is the same, you will need to grind off that tongue so this sits flat on the alternator. Another thing that I would recommend doing, like originally the old alternator came with this cap that sits on top of the nut, so I would strongly recommend to reuse this cap and fill it up with the dielectric grease. So let me round it up, get it tight, fill it with dielectric grease and put it back. Alright, so basically if you're just replacing the alternator, all you will need to do is to install the belt back and connect the battery. But as you know, we still need to replace the idler pulley and belt tensioner. So we'll start with the belt tensioner. It has two bolts, looks like E10, one on top, one on the bottom, so we'll get that removed. Okay, so the top one, E12, actually not E10, is removed. The second one, if you look at this tension, it's like on 4 o'clock position, so it's kind of in between the power steering pulley, AC compressor, and the tensioner, so you won't be able to see it, neither from the top, neither from the bottom, so you just need to find it with your fingers. Okay, here's the catch. So if your tensioner is released, it means that the pulley will cover the bottom bolt. So what you need to do, basically, let's say over here you have your AC compressor pulley. So you go with your pry bar, you pry this tensioner until this hole where you insert the pin lines up with the other hole. Insert the pin, and that way you are safe to remove the other bolt. I will show you underneath. Alright, I hope you can see well. So basically what I've done, I used the pry bar put it like this, and pried the tensioner until this, you can see where this pin is with a duct tape on it. So until the pinhole get some light. Okay, so basically that pinhole lines up with the hole on the body, so let's insert the pin. So now we should be able to remove that bottom bolt. And once again, you go against your AC compressor, you grab your pulley, push it back. It's really nice if you have somebody around to help you to insert the pin. So now we should be able to remove the pulley. Make sure that the pin is thick and strong enough. I just happen to have the old one from the other tensioner, so you can safely put it in. And now, I don't know if you can guys see, there is that probably you cannot see that E12 at the bottom, just over there. Alright, let me get that removed. Alright, so I'll show you once again. So here's the bolt, the bottom bolt. The tensioner, when it's loose, it's covering this bolt, this hole. So you need to get it in a lock position. And this is how it looks. So you basically pry it up, insert the pin, remove the bolt. Alright, tensioner is in place. More and more shiny parts on this engine. Don't forget to put blue Loctite on the thread on those bolts. Seems like the original one had some too. So with the idler pulley, first we need to remove the cap, and there are some grooves, so you can insert the pick and just remove the cap. And now we will remove this Torx bolt. Alright, so here is the old pulley. It was quite started to crack on the back, and this is the bolt. So even though it's T50, it's still M8, I think, so don't over torque it. And as always, use some blue Loctite. So the new pulley does not offer us the luxury of putting back this cap, so we will keep it. The bearing is sealed, so it should be good like it is. And at this point we are good to install the belt. So here is this ugly diagram for the belt. It's a good idea to draw a diagram before you take the belt off, because sometimes different vehicles will, same vehicle with different modification, will have different routing. So this is how it goes. And this is the Gates belt, Micro V K060942. Alright, the belt is installed, and when you install the belt, not even double check but triple check if the routing is correct, if it sits right on each and every pulley, because if you mess it up, you start the engine, the belt is usually gone within seconds. So triple check. So now when we have everything installed, we can use 17 mil with the long ratchet to take the pressure of that lock pin. The pin is just underneath the pulley, so I will remove that pin and get it tense. So at this point you want to start the vehicle, make sure that everything works as expected, the alternator is working, the belt is spinning nicely, and after that we will install the fan. Alright, so next what we want to do, we want to check the voltage that comes out of our new alternator. And let me start the vehicle. As you can see, right now it's 12.7, so this is the charge of the battery. So let's start. And here you go, we have 18 volts and growing. What most likely means that our new alternator voltage regulator is not working. So it will have to be returned and replaced. Nevertheless, so you still need to install the fan, and when you install the fan, please make sure that you put some anti-seize on that thread so it does not stick and it's easy to remove next time. Other than that, everything is straightforward. Get it in, get those two clips for the fan housing, push in your air filter, get your air intake connected. That's all. But for myself, I'll probably wait with this whole procedure until I get the new alternator. Thanks for watching, and do it yourself.